Yes.
Great. So guys, I think this session is going to be an hour, 1.5 hours long. We are going to, I'll start with quickly introducing myself and Zaprev, the company that I run. Then we'll go do a deep dive on different ad platforms, both for web campaigns as well as app campaigns. Then we'll touch upon, all this, what all you need in an ideal marketing tech stack. Some of them, and at what point of your journey you need these stack. You do not need all the tools from day one, right? So we'll talk about that, and then we'll discuss a couple of scaling frameworks and that approaches that I generally follow, and so that you can apply them in your business as well. I'm Nitin. I'm a IIT Delhi 2012 alumni, so almost 12 plus years of experience. I've spent most of my time in growth marketing. Before founding Zaparev, I was working as a head of growth for a personal finance app called ET Money. Before that, I was part of the growth team at Paytm, right? So I've seen exposure. I have decent exposure in terms of how you scale from 0 to 1 as well as 1 to 10 and 10 to 100 part of your growth journey. At ET Money, I was able to scale the business from almost 0 to 30 crore ARR in 2 years. I currently run Zaprev. We are a revenue growth consulting firm. We help our clients acquire, retain, and grow their businesses sustainably. So let's talk about. I'll just talk. We just have two slides on what we do at Zaprev. I'll briefly talk about that. So let's talk about what are the major growth roadblocks that you guys face, right? First is obviously
Uh,
initial. Sorry.
oh,
Abhinav, some background noise is coming from your side. Can you go on mute? Thank you. Yeah. So let's talk about major growth roadblocks that we see, right? So first is inefficient acquisition. So what happens typically is that when you start your marketing spends at a lower scale, the revenue, the performance is really good. But once you start scaling the campaigns, right, typically what happens is your performance acquisition cost increases with scale, right? And a lot of advertisers end up acquiring the same number of customers at a higher spend, right? So there is no incrementality. Second problem is that over reliance on performance marketing, right? So organic underperformance. And third is at stagnant repeat purchases, right? So even if you are able to acquire your customers, you are not able to, drive repeat purchases from them, and which makes your CAC to LTV ratio high and making the marketing unsustainable for you. Right. So, Zaprev, we work as your growth catalyst. We solve for user acquisition, retention, as well as lifetime value. Uh, we deliver proven marketing strategies with precise execution and full funnel optimization to unlock growth for you. We have full funnel solutions, as I said, right? Starting from Zap Scale, which is our solution on performance marketing and funnel optimization. Uh, we also do a lot of awareness campaigns to build your brand awareness and get the organic channel firing through efficient targeting. Then the second solution is Zap Rank, where we help you do SEO for Google as well as LLMs. And then the third solution is Zap Loop, which is all about engagement, retention, cross-sell, and marketing automations. So that was about myself and Zapref. Thank you for taking out time, guys. Let's just get into it now, right? So we will talk about Google Ads and Meta Ads in depth, right? I know that there are a lot of other platforms also like Microsoft Advertising, LinkedIn, Twitter, Quora, right? So there are so many ad platforms and affiliates, of course, right? So, but we'll just stick to keep the session, because we have all of us have limited time. We'll just going to focus more on Google and Meta, where anyways 70-80% of the lion's share of the spends anyways go to these two platforms, right? So let's talk about Google Ad Stack, right? So what is the strength of Google Ads as a platform, right? So uh, the entire ad platform for Google is built on search, right? So people do a lot of, there are the biggest two search engines in the world are YouTube and Google. Both of them are owned by Google, right? So Google understands the intent really well, right? So and Google excels at intent-led targeting, right? What it knows that when you are looking to buy a car or when you are looking for a let's say fitness tracker, Google understands that and helps advertisers convert those bottom funnel customers, right? So Google has a very strong bottom funnel performance. Google excels at search-led demand fulfillment and conversion optimization. The core objectives that you can achieve on Google platform is conversions, obviously, purchases, right? Conversions could be lead, conversions could be any top mid funnel event, conversion could be any bottom funnel event. Purchases, obviously, app installs and in-app engagements, right? Google Ads, in terms of the campaign structure, there are three level that Google campaign has, three hierarchy. The first is campaign. One campaign can have multiple ad groups, and one ad group can have multiple ads, right? So the hierarchy is campaign followed by ad group and followed by ads, right? In all Google Ads, you can define audience targeting and everything at a ad group level, but budgets and location are the two things that you can only define at a campaign level, right? So if, for example, you want to allocate X amount of 1,000 rupees for your campaign in Gurgaon and 1,000 rupees in, let's say, Mumbai, then you'll have to create two campaigns on Google and allocate, 1,000 budgets to each of them, right? So now we'll talk about three most popular format, four in fact, more most popular format of ads that are most popular on Google Ads platform. First one is search campaign. Search campaign is, all of us understand what search campaigns are, right? So it is the best campaign on Google to target problem aware and solution aware audiences, right? So if you look at the marketing funnel, right? If let's say your TAM is, if you make a downward pyramid of your TAM, right? So the biggest level, the highest tier in that pyramid would be the most unaware audience, which has not even faced the problem and which is not even aware about the solution, followed by problem aware, followed by solution aware, followed by brand aware. Brand aware is basically people who also know about your brand, right? So the bottom part of the pyramid is the smallest and it is the most aware. The top part of the pyramid is the biggest and the least aware, right? So Google search campaigns are ideal to target users who are aware about the problem, and that is why they are searching for it, right? And also the solution aware kind of problem audience, which again is goes and searches on Google search, right? In terms of bidding options, you can run campaigns on Mac on getting conversions. You can also run campaigns on getting conversion value, right? So conversion value, for example, could be very relevant for a D2C brand where you want to get maximum orders as well as you want to get increase your balance out your ROAS, right? So you can have two campaigns. One which is bidding on maximize conversions, the other could be on maximizing conversion value, right? So the second campaign will give you a better ROAS and the first campaign will give you better scale in terms of number of orders. Both the campaigns put together, right, can balance the performance out, right? The second option is maximize clicks, and the third option is target impression share, where let's say there are 100 searches of a relevant keyword for your business. You are trying to target, let's say, I want to be there in 50% of these, right? So you can target impression share as well. So what are the pros of Google Search Campaign? Granular keyword level, right? Control, right? So you can, you know, do a comprehensive search, comprehensive keyword research, identify your relevant keywords for you, theme them into different ad groups, right? So it gives you all types of very granular control. And the second pro is a very strong bottom funnel conversion, because this is the problem aware and the solution aware audience. They are looking for a solution that you are offering, right? So it provides a very strong bottom funnel performance, right? What are the cons of a Google search, right? So there are a few cons as well. One is limited volume. You are capped by the number of searches that are happening for a keyword, and there is always a search seasonality in search as well, right? So for example, during the OND period with so many festivities going on, right? And then uh, Christmas and New Year happening, typically we see a decline in search trends, right? So during those periods, your search campaigns will spend less and acquire less conversions, acquire less customers for you, right? The second con is that in a competitive landscape, the competition is high, and your CPC's cost per clicks can also be very high, right? So that is a con. These are the two cons. Right. So now what are the optimization tips? Right. The first and the foremost important is keyword research. Right. So I spend the maximum amount of time in doing a keyword research. I'll not just look at the keyword, the top 10-20% keywords, which kind of, let's say, make the head, right? I'll also focus equally on the torso part of it and also the long tail keyword. So keyword research is very important. It helps you identify what people are searching for. Uh, it also helps you answer a lot of questions, like, for example, is there a local play in your business, right? For example, for a, let's say, offline JE coaching business, it can help you understand, what percent of how many users are searching for coaching institutes near me, right? And in which sector of the city you are present in, the searches are maximum, right? So you can go to that level, right? Are like, for example, a commercial real estate business, they would see that there are a lot of keywords related to office space in Cyber City, office space in Indranagar, office space in, let's say, HSR layout, right? So these are, you need to understand, is there a local, hyper local neighborhood play in your business, and accordingly you need to structure your campaigns, right? So I spend the most amount of time in doing a solid keyword research. There are limited. Then second one is what exclusions you can do to improve, to minimize ad spillage, right? So on search there are limited options available, but you can still exclude by household income and age and gender and other things, location, obviously, to minimize the ad spillage. Third is target CPA, target cost per action implementation, right? So always use a target cost per acquisition for better control. Otherwise, your acquisition cost might go out of control. Fourth is, and this is also very important, is you disable search partners. So in the campaign settings for a search ads, you will see an option to enable or disable search partner or display partner. So when you enable search partners, what happens is that uh, your ads will start appearing on YouTube searches as well, right? And YouTube search volume is massive, and it will consume a lot of your budget. And typically what I've seen is that the conversion and the quality of the lead coming from YouTube searches are not great, right? So search partner is something that you can keep switched off until unless you are struggling to scale and you have already maximized, the Google searches itself. There's no point in, going to keeping search partners on. If you are running a search campaign on your own keyword, on your own brand keyword, right? It's better to optimize for a target impression share rather than on conversions, because this helps you reduce the CPC and cost per action anyways. The reason you don't have to bid for conversions for brand campaign is because you already have the user already has a strong intent for your brand, right? So that is why they are searching for it, right? So you can just either you can just not do a brand campaign search, right? A brand search campaign, or if you are still doing it, you want to still do it, you should have optimize it for target impression share of 60-70%, and not on conversions. Right. Any questions so far, guys? Okay, so no questions. So I'll just move forward. The second type of campaigns is Google demand gen campaigns. This is a very immersive sort kind of a campaign which search your ads across all Google properties excluding search, right? So one demand gen campaign will show your ads on Gmail as well as display prop inventories on web, Google Discover, which is there on Android, which is very popular on Android devices, as well as YouTube, right? It is best suited for tofu and mofu, basically top of the funnel and mid of the funnel audiences. Because if you see Gmail, Display, YouTube, and Discover, uh, uh, these are massive inventories where everyone uses Gmail, everyone uses Display, everyone browses or internet, right? Everyone uses YouTube, everyone uses Discover, right? So these have massive scale in terms of inventories available, right? And that is why if you are going to the audience is also very diluted because you are kind of targeting everyone. So this campaign is best suited for top of the funnel and mid funnel objectives. In terms of targeting options, you get demographics, which is basically age, gender, and household income. You can target audiences based on interest and in-market audiences. Both of these are provided by Google itself. Then you can also create custom segments based on what people are searching for on Google, based on the kind of apps they are using, based on the kind of websites they are visiting, right? And create a custom segment for yourself. In terms of optimization goals, you can use it for conversions. You can use it to get more clicks and visits to your website. And you can also use it to get YouTube engagements. Like if you want to promote your channel on YouTube, you want to increase your subscriber on YouTube, get more views, right? You can use demand gen to meet those goals. If you are using it demand gen campaigns for lead generation, it's better to stick to a custom audience based on website people visit and keywords they search or apps they use to get better quality of leads. Otherwise, you'll get so many leads at a very low cost per lead, but the quality, most of those leads would be junk and non-relevant for your business. The third type of campaign is Performance Max campaign. As you can see in this image also, this again is a cross inventory campaign, just like Demand Gen. The only addition to Demand Gen in Performance Max is availability of Google Maps as well as search, right? So it's a goal-based campaign that allows just one campaign will allow you to access all of Google inventories just from single campaign. Be it Google Search, Display, Gmail, Maps, Discover, YouTube, everything is managed from just one single campaign. It is best suited for bottom funnel conversion because it also has search and Google Maps inventories available, right? So it can show your ads on bottom funnel conversions, bottom funnel searches on Google Maps. Like for example, I'm looking for a JEE Coaching Institute near me. A lot of these searches now happen on directly on Google Maps. For example, if I'll just go to Google Map and search dental clinics near me, right? So in such cases, your ads will start appearing on Google Maps as well, right? So Performance Max can help you get bottom funnel conversion, not just top of the funnel or mid funnel conversions, right? If I talk about key features, it complements your existing search campaign beautifully, right? So what I've seen is that whenever I run a search campaign and then a PMAX campaign, both targeting similar audience, similar keywords, I always keep like a Performance Max का budget as like one third of what it is there on Google search. And both, what I've seen is that both these campaigns complement each other really well and beautifully like deliver good quality results as well as scale at a decent CPL and core cost per action. It also works with offline conversion tracking, right? So at times, what happens is, for example, if you're a lead generating business, you will use your performance, you'll use your Google Ads and Meta Ads to generate leads, right? But out of 100 leads, only 5 or 10 would actually convert, become your customer, right? So you can start posting those, you can configure those conversion events also to Google Ads, right? So the final purchase after lead and optimize your Performance Max campaign to get users who are most likely to convert after dropping a lead. Right? Scaling, if you want to scale this campaign, you should exclude brand searches, your brand terms, and again, don't replace this Performance Max campaign should not replace your search campaigns. It should complement it. Right. So these are the three types of the three most popular types of, there are other types as well, but these three are the most popular types of campaigns when talking about a web product. When we come to app, right? Google has only one type of Google Ads has only one type of app marketing campaign, which is UAC, Universal App Campaigns. It again works very similar to Performance Max campaign, where there's just one single campaign will serve your ads on search, Google Play, YouTube, Discover, Google Search, and the Google Display Network, right? So, and if you're whenever you are on any Google property, be it YouTube, be it Play Store, right, and you are seeing an ad which has a download button, it is a UAC ad, right? So it is you can use this insight to also figure out what if your competitors are doing UAC ads or not, right? There are three types of objectives available: app install, in-app action, and engagement. App install is when you want to, yeah, you've just started your app. You want to maximize the number of installs first and see how the conversion is looking like, how the engagement on the app is looking like, how the funnels are looking like, right? So you can start with the app install objective. Then as you mature, right, you would want to start your campaigns on to acquire users. Guys, there is some echo come. Thank you. You would want to acquire such customers who are more likely to do a meaningful action on your app, like for example, sign up or making a purchase, or let's say for a fintech, it could be completing a KYC, right? If they are not investing, right? So then you can start a campaign, USC campaign again on in-app actions, right? Any action that a user is taking inside your app. And then third one is engagement. This is more like re-engagement campaigns where you are running a separate separate campaign for to re-engage all existing users of your app, right, and get them back to your app, right. In terms of technical setup, you should always, if you're running an app install campaign, it's always better to bid on a Firebase/GA4 event. In terms of creative best practices, try including all the relevant searches in your assets, because a lot of the spend of UAC will also go on a search channel where people search, right? So the more relevant searches that are there, the better chances are for you to that your ads appear on the right searches, search terms, right? Always have videos in your assets. Optimization strategy, you should, so there Google always, so whenever you are bidding on, let's say, in-app action or install, Google gives you an option to also give a target cost per action that you are willing to pay, right? For example, if you're talking about install, maybe you would want to keep a target CPO of 50 rupees, 60 rupees, because that is the amount that you are willing to pay. That is the maximum amount you are willing to pay for getting an install, right? So you can start with a higher TCPA so that if your TCPAs to begin with are very aggressive, your campaign will not spend at all, right? So it's usually recommended to start with a generous TCPA and gradually keep it down as you scale the campaign, right? If you're already doing it and you are struggling to scale the spends of your USC campaign while maintaining CAC, if you are seeing that, the moment you increase your budgets, your cost per action also increases, not leading to any incremental acquisitions. You can try a hybrid event. You can also experiment with a mid funnel event or a bottom funnel event and see what works the best. This is very important. Again, make sure to add videos in all the ad groups. Very important again, avoid running two USC campaigns on the same conversion event in the same ad account, right? So if you want to, let's say, a lot of advertisers, a lot of advertisers I review the ad accounts of, they are making this mistake of having multiple UAC campaigns for the same objective in one account. Should never do that, because it most of these most likely that most of your all these campaigns would be interfering with each other, right? So it's better to have just one campaign, and all the testing or whatever that you want to try, you can keep on adding more and more ad groups to the same campaign, but all do not I would never recommend running multiple USC campaigns for the same objective in one ad account. Always bid on a Firebase GA4 event. GA4 Firebase is free to use, right? So and it helps Google understand and optimize the campaigns better, understand the user better, right? So always bid on this. Uh, Always, so there are two ways of measuring a install for a UAC campaign. The first one is just install, where the user just downloads the app. The second one is app open, right? Which is basically the next step of app download, where you download and install the app and then you click and open it as well, right? So always use first open for tracking installs. Otherwise, you will get a lot of frivolous installs. We have discussed this. Start with a generous TCPA and gradually bring it down. Then again, there is a very important beta feature that is very useful, which is a custom Play Store listing. So, uh, in the best converting Play Store would convert, let's say, 15 to 20%. Like if 100 users are coming to your Play Store, 15 to 20 of them, 25 of them at max would end up installing your app, right? And the reason is that while you can have different communication and propositions in your banners, in your ads, your Play Store listing remains the same, right? It cannot change, right? And what there is a basically communication disconnect the moment user clicks on the app, clicks on your ad and lands on the Play Store, right? So for that, you can have Google has launched this feature which is still in beta, called custom Play Store listing, where you can have up to 10 Play Store listings customized for different propositions. These listings are never visible on app on organically on Play Store. If somebody searches or anything, it can only be accessed via a link that you can use in your Google Ads. So this can help you boost your click to install conversion and help you bring down your cost per install. And if your cost per install reduces, then so does your cost per action or acquisition cost. Uh, right. So general strategies to scale across the stack for Google. Always monitor thresholds, right? So watch for diminishing returns, because at some point your campaign will stop yielding incremental conversions, right? And you should be able to identify that and then figure out that is the signal that this particular campaign has hit the ceiling, and you should focus on, rather than scaling this campaign, you should focus on starting a new one with some new objective. You can also try value-based bidding, right? Conversion value, if when your core KPI is revenue or ROAS, right? Not installs. You can use conversion value optimization, not just conversions. Do a lot of creative testing, test creatives frequently, UAC, demand gen, PMAX, whatever creative testing is very important. You should test as many creatives as possible. If you have a defined framework to test your creatives, nothing like it. Conversion alignment, this one also is very important, and in most of the accounts that I've audited, is this one is always ignored. I found them to be ignored. So there are two ways Google can measure a conversion. One is that it measures every conversion value from the same customer, right? Or the second is that it will only count conversion from one customer once, right? So if you're a lead generating business, right, and you have set your uh, your setting is at count every conversion. Then if I am dropping three leads for the same product, Google will count it as three conversions. While for your business, you are just getting one qualified lead, right? So if a repeat action is meaningful for your business, then you should have count all the conversions enabled. Otherwise, you should always keep it count on one conversion only once. And by default, Google will set up count all the conversions every time. If you want to revert, you have to revert it manually. Yeah, so this is just to summarize everything we have discussed so far. Google Ads funnel stage mapping, right? So top of the funnel, you have demand gen, where you can optimize on clicks, engagement. For mid of the funnel, you have USE campaigns. You also have demand gen. For bottom funnel, you have search, PMAX, and USE campaign that can help you get conversions and purchases. All right, so guys, I'll take a pause for a minute and see if you guys have any questions. More than happy to uh, answer them. Abhinav, I think you have a question. You have posted this on chat. Do you want to discuss that? Abhinav, if possible, you can also unmute yourself and we can just talk here. So Sujit, I'll take your question. Other than Facebook, Google, and LinkedIn, what other options, popular options for B2B sales generation? You can try Twitter also, but it does not scale. The cost per lead is very high. This is a problem with LinkedIn as well. So rather than if I talk about just inbound lead generation, Facebook, Google, and LinkedIn, unfortunately, are the go-to channels. If you still if you have maximized lead generation on these channels, you are still willing and you are still looking for more leads, then you could go for outbound lead generation. There is a concept called account-based marketing, which works beautifully in B2B lead generation. You can read about that. It basically starts with making a list of accounts that you want to target, finding the right contact person in every account, and then reaching out with a very hyper personalized communication through WhatsApp, LinkedIn, cold emails, and make a series of communication. It works beautifully for B2B. The only problem here is the challenge here is that of response rate, which are typically anywhere between 3-4% to 12-13% at max. But once you get a reply, the bottom funnel conversion looks really good. Uh,
Hey Nitin,
hey, hi.
Harneet here. So I asked
Hmm.
regarding the PMAX campaign. You
Yeah.
mentioned that, let's say in the first iteration, if there is some conversion, from the leads, then we can put those converted leads to optimize the next iteration, right? Can you elaborate more on that, how that is done practically and
Yeah,
how
so
it helps?
it depends on the CRM you are using, right? So for example, if I talk about HubSpot or Zoho, these are the, I think in my experience, these are the two most popular CRM campaigns,
Mhm.
CRM platforms, right? So you can integrate, you can configure event postbacks from Zoho or HubSpot to Google Ads.
Mhm.
Right. So
Okay.
if you just have to search on Google offline conversion, and it works on Meta as well, you'll get a lot of documentation on how to do it. What happens is basically whenever a lead, let's say, is marked as converted, your CRM will auto trigger a postback event to Google or Meta, and they will count it as a conversion.
Okay. Lovely.
If you are looking
Thank
for,
you.
if you want to understand like technical setup, we can connect again after this call separately, and maybe I could help you with that also.
Sure. Thanks.
Uh, then Abhinav, so okay, going to your question, I do have lately Meta is shifting its algo to AI optimization side. Now many are reporting this shift is not working for them, and their ROAS has decreased by a lot, and are struggling to get sales. Is this the situation is the same for Google as well, right? So I think I'll just try to connect you, Abhinav. I think in my experience, if done correctly, AI optimizations are working beautifully for a lot of our clients. In fact, there is a client of mine where we are just doing one campaign, which is a AI campaign, and it has the best ROAS, right? So it depends on your business. If you are a lead generation business, it will not work for you. But if you're focusing on, if you're a D2C brand, you have set up your catalog and everything beautifully. Uh, it will perform really well for you if as I said earlier also, if done correctly, it will perform beautifully. uh, the second question is this situation same for Google Ads as well? So Google again, both Google and Meta, they are shifting to AI based management and algorithmic campaign management. But the push on Meta is a lot harder than it is on Google, right? The approach on Google is different, right? So the three campaigns, all the campaigns, in fact, we spoke about, right, which are working on conversions like search campaign, demand gen, performance max, app install, all are AI powered campaigns, right? So the way it works is that you just have to identify, give the right signals to the campaign, and it will optimize itself. And then you obviously have to keep on doing manual optimizations as well, but AI does like 60-70% of the heavy lifting. Uh, Prachi, there's one question from you. Any tool that gives a good list of keywords? How should we segment, make it exhaustive? Also, the perfect balance of phrase exact match to avoid junk. I think the best tool, Prachi, is the free tool, which is Keyword Planner that is there on Google Ads, right? Because most of the searches are happening on Google, and for Google it is first party data, right? So any tool that offers keyword research, for all of them this will be a third party data, but for Google it is going to be a first party data, right? So Google Keyword Planner is the best one and the free one. Also, the perfect balance of phrase and exact match to avoid junk. I think we are going to there is a slide on that. I think just wait for it, and I think your question will get answered. If not, you can ask this question again. Harneet, how to decide budget split between Google and Meta? Let's take a scenario of e-learning brand providing corporate training for any thumb rules consider. Harneet, I have a slide on this as well. So just wait for a few minutes, and if after that slide does not answer your question, you can post this question again. Okay. Shall we move forward, guys? Any more questions so far?
Nitin, hi.
Hi, Madhu.
This Sorry. Nitin, I'm running a B2B e-commerce company which is focused on providing supplies to retailers and wholesalers, right?
Okay.
So not been able to find a right platform, which can give me app acquisition at a right price. We've tried multiple, platforms. So what is your suggestion on that?
Yeah, so I think Madhu, the general, I think I have again a slide on this, but in general, if people are searching for it on Google, right, for exact service that you provide, if people are searching for it on Google, then Google is most likely to perform the best. If not, then Meta, right? So if there is no search intent, right, go for Meta. If there is enough search intent already on Google, you should just double down on Google first. And then again, you'll have to try a lot of creative aspects. You'll have to try a lot of conversions. Maybe, in some cases, what I've seen is that bottom funnel, the campaign, if you're running a app install campaign directly on uh, performance, right? Like bottom funnel conversion, it does not scale, but maybe a mid funnel or a top funnel event when you start a campaign on it performs beautifully. So have to do some hit and trial. There is a lot of hit and trial also to see what works, what does not work. I also have a dedicated slide on this. I think after 6, 7 slides more, so we can take this question again for you. All right, guys. Moving ahead now, I'll share my screen again. Yeah, so we have covered so far, we have covered Google Ads so far. Now let's come to Meta, right? So Meta, what are the platform strength? The platform strength is behavioral and psychological targeting options. So while Google excels at understanding intent of customer, Meta excels at understanding your interests. Meta understands your network as well, right? So, for example, Meta knows where you work. Meta accurately knows the location of you. Meta knows when your birthday is coming. Meta knows when your friend's birthday is coming. When is your anniversary, right? So all this information is there on Meta, and it is in most of the cases correct because people do not have people have all of us always put right date of birth, anniversary date, and everything on Facebook because it's a social media platform, and everybody is going to see it, right? So Meta excels at all those things. Meta also works while Google works a lot on search, right, which is a pull type of marketing. Meta excels at discovery-led demand creation, right? So be it Facebook, Instagram, or you are constantly discovering, right? You are just scrolling and discovering new things. And that is how the Meta works. And that is how it helps you create a lot of demand because it understands what are you trying to discover, right? What kind of content, what kind of businesses, what kind of products are you exploring more these days, right? So Meta understands these things really well. In terms of core objectives that are available on Meta, sales, leads, engagement, awareness, traffic, right? So full funnel solution, right? Right from top funnel traffic awareness to bottom funnel sales and lead. In terms of campaign structure, it is very similar to what is there on Google. The only difference is that on Google ad sets, on Meta, this middle hierarchy, the second hierarchy is called ad set, while on Google it is called ad group. That is the only difference. There is one small difference, which is basically how you structure the campaigns. So in Meta at a campaign level, you can only define the objective of the campaign, right? So this is a awareness campaign, this is a sales campaign, this is a lead generation campaign. You have an option to allocate the budgets here as well, which is called CBO, campaign bid optimization. And then ad set is where most of your targeting goes, right? So your entire interest, audience, age, location, everything goes at the ad set level. You can also put your budgets at a ad set level, which is called ABO, ad set budget control. Between CBO and ABO, I think CBO focuses more on getting efficiency. So how it works is you have allocated 1,000 rupees to the campaign. Now it will allocate more budget to the ad set that are giving you the most conversion at the least price, right? While ABO in ABO, you are able to allocate, you are able to control the spends. For example, if you want to try 2, 3 different audiences, you need more control, right? So then ABO is the way to go. And then campaign followed by ad set, then followed by ads. So the entire creative testing happens here, right? You can choose from all different types of formats like static banners, just single banners, carousels, videos. You can also have video carousels and catalog. For every ad set, it is generally recommended to have all types of creative formats in an ad set, right? So that the campaign is able to uh, optimize the most. For example, for a D2C client of ours, what we have seen is that for any ad group, we always try to put static carousel videos and catalog ads. And all the conversions in the last 30 days, all the conversions, not like most of them, all of them have only come from catalog ads, right? And in some cases, videos work better. In some cases, carousels work better, right? But in the case of this client, only catalog is working. So it's always better to have a healthy mix of all creative formats to ad group so that the algorithm is able to uh, maximize learning. Right. So there are two key important things that are very important in Meta. One is creative testing. The second one is audience strategy. Right. Audience testing. So creative is the primary lever in Meta. Right. So Meta used to be a very targeting first platform till maybe 1 or 2 years back. But since then, Meta has become a very creative first platform, right? So to the extent that I think 60-70% of the performance are determined by the creative, not by the audience. And that is why you will see that a lot of push from Meta on while you are creating, setting up an ad. At every step of the ad setup, it will push you to enable AI audience. It will push you to enable optimized targeting, which is basically Meta AI will figure out more people in locations outside your campaign who are more likely to make a purchase. It will also ask you to audience expansion, placement expansion, right? So all these things are, Meta's approach of going creative first and not targeting first. But that said, targeting is still important, right? Another thing, so if you have a defined structured framework to test your creatives, right, on different variables, right? So there are 5, 6 variables when it comes to a creative testing. When it comes to a good creative, one is testing hook. What is the hook proposition in the ad? What is the format? What is the messaging angle? What is the visual style? Right? If you have a defined structured framework, you could create creatives on all the permutations possible, run them on Meta, and then get a after a week or so, you can get a very detailed report on what type of hooks are working, what format is working, what messaging angle is working, what visual style is working the best. And based on this very structured approach of experimenting, you can just double down on what is working and what is not. Right. The second one, which is more again very important, is align creatives to your user affinity. For example, if you are a furnishing brand, right? Just do a Google keyword research to understand what is the user affinity. Are they searching for bed sheets more? They are searching for uh, duet covers more, or they are searching for generic terms like uh, bed furnishing or bedroom furnishing, right? If the industry is more matured, right, the search trend or behavior will be very specific to the product, not and less specific to the category, right? And in that case, your ad should be about bed sheets and not about bed furnishing, because that is where the affinity is, right? And again, catalog setup for D2C brand is a must. If you are a D2C brand, you have not set up your catalog, do that as first thing after this call, set up your catalog. Right. Second is audience strategy, right? So as we discussed earlier, also Meta understands behavior and psychographics really well, right? So the approach on Meta is to define your ICPs as sharp possible. If you do not already know, ICP means ideal customer profile, right? So the stronger, the sharper you've defined your ICP to be, the stronger is your creative resonance, right? For example, for a fitness tracker, right? There could be two ways of defining an ICP. A loose ICP is where we are targeting anyone who wants to get fit, right? While a very sharp way of defining your ICP is that my ideal customer is a 30 to 45-year-old working professional who is earning at least 20 lakhs per year, lives in a metro city, already spends on premium fitness, uses app like Strava ad space, follows influencers like Uberman, Gaurav Taneja, obsessed with self-improvement biohacking, right? So the sharper your ICP is, the sharper your targeting will be, and the stronger your creative resonance will be, and this will help you in getting better CTRs, right? So on Google, what happens is typically you are paying for every click that you get, right? Google is a CPC heavy platform. You pay for every click that you get. But Meta is a very discovery-led, browsing-led platform where you pay for every impression, right? So if I see your ad, you will pay, right? And so the higher the CTR is, right, the lesser is your CPC, right? So you are anyways going to pay for 100 impressions. If you get 5 clicks, your cost per click is 20. If you get 10 clicks, your cost per click is 10, right? And because your cost per click, which is like the most toppest part of the funnel, because your CPC is less, your final conversions will also be acquisition cost will also be less, right? To define a sharper audience, you can use a narrow. Meta allows you to target as well as narrow, include as well as exclude users, right? So you can use that narrow feature available on Meta. You can also do like multiple levels of narrow, like audience who is interested in this. And let's say let's say very premium clothing wear, right? People who are interested in, let's say, fitness band only, right? People, the way I'll define this ICP is that the first level I'll see people interested in fitness, right? Second, I also need to target people who are earning at least this much, right? So I will narrow them with a condition that they are also frequent travelers. They are also uh, frequent international travelers. They are also interested in luxury retail. And then I'll have a second level of narrow again, and who are also following influencers like Andrew Huberman, Gaurav Taneja, obsessed with self-improvement, right? So you can have multiple level of targeting to narrow your audience, but always keep in mind that while you are narrowing makes your audience more sharper, it should not reduce the audience size it should not reduce the audience size too much, right? Because if your audience is not at least a couple of millions on Meta, then your campaign, your CPMs will be very high, and your cost per action will never make sense, right? Whenever you are trying different ICPs, you can define those audiences on Meta and test the overlaps, right? So at times what has happened, what I've seen is that very different ICPs, when you compare their overlap, there will be 60-70% overlap. And in that case, if you are running two different campaigns, most likely both the campaigns will be competing to serve ad to the same audience. And in such cases, it's better to merge this audience rather than segregate them. You can always try Advantage Plus versus custom audiences for optimal performance. See what is working best for you. Right. So Meta in general scaling guidelines. So Meta needs at least 50 conversions per ad set per week. So Meta needs at least 50 conversions to exit the learning phase. Right. So, and ideally, if the campaign is able to complete the learning phase within a week of starting, that gives the best performance, right? So make sure that until unless you have been able to allocate enough budget for a campaign to complete 50 conversions per ad set per week within 7 days, like, right? Avoid making newer campaigns. Rather than, if you still want to scale, it's better to scale the current campaign, because your current campaign will be able to learn faster and better, and deliver a better performance. For mature ad accounts where there is already a decent amount of conversions that have been already recorded in that campaign, in that ad account, Advantage Plus shopping campaigns works beautifully. Abhinav, to answer your question, works beautifully, but the only condition is that it should not be a very new account, because then there is not enough learning or postbacks in the account for the algorithm to learn. Once you reach there, it will work beautifully for you. Uh, Lead generation formats. So I think we'll discuss about this in the next few slides. Right. So now, so far we have discussed Meta. Guys, any questions so far? Should we take a pause for a minute or continue? I think I'll just continue. Okay, so we have discussed Google Ads, we have discussed Meta Ads, we have discussed their nuances, their strengths, their weaknesses, some practical tips, to scale and get the best out of these two platforms. Now we'll just touch upon what kind of, what is the ideal martech stack, right? Or marketing tech stack. How does it look like, right? It starts with if you're doing if you are a web heavy business, right? Pixel tracking is the first step, right? You can use Meta Pixel, Google Ads Pixel, GA Pixel directly, or you can also implement them via GTM, Google Tag Manager. You should always use a multi-touch attribution algorithm, right? So what happens now is that people consume internet so much, right? In most of the cases, what happens is that before making a purchase from your brand, they would have seen your ad on Meta, they would have seen your ad on YouTube, would have seen your ad on Google search as well, right? So the the purchase journey has become very multi-touch now, right? So the attribution algorithm should be multi-touch now. How multi-touch works is basically there are very broadly speaking, three ways of attributing your campaign. One is first click, then there is last click, and then there is multi-touch attribution. First click is where you are giving credit to the campaign which served the first impression to this customer. Last click is where you are giving all the credits to your campaign which had the last click, right? Multi-touch is basically you are allocating credits to every touch point, first click, last click, uh, you know, all the clicks in between. You are allocating some credits to all of them, and basically this helps, so at times now you will see that Google will report 2.5 conversions. That is because of multi-touch algorithm where you are giving credits to every touch point to every campaign. Right. Then there are conversions APIs, right? So there are two ways to report a conversion to a platform. First is server side, second is browser side, right? If I talk about web, right? So whenever, let's say, I go to land on your purchase page, right, where the URL is, let's say, /thank you, right? So, or you can configure a pixel on this page. The moment user lands on this page, you send an event post back to Meta or Google. This is the browser based rendering. It is not very accurate, and it a lot of time misses to report conversions as well because of ad blockers, because of some internet issue, because of user closing the browser too soon, right? So the second way is server side events, where you are using conversion APIs from Google Ads, Meta Ads, and Microsoft Ads to report conversions from your backend, right? So this is more foolproof. This is more robust, and it also uh, helps the algorithm get more postbacks. In the ideal scenario, you should have both with the right deduplication keys on Meta, so that you are giving all the types of all the conversion signals, all the conversion signals possible to send. You are sending all of them, but you are also giving a deduplication key to the algorithm to be able to, so that it is not double counting, right? If you're a app-heavy business, you will need for attribution, you can use tools like AppsFlyer, Adjust, Branch, Kuchava, Trackier. AppsFlyer generally is considered as a gold standard, but it is also very expensive. Trackier, on the other side, is an Indian startup, and I think they're based out of Noida. It works. It is decent in terms of performance, or also very affordable. But app attribution, it is only useful if you are using multiple channels. If you are already at a very decent scale, where you are using Meta, you are using Google, you are also using other display platforms, you are using affiliates, right? If you are really deep and into app advertising and you are at a decent scale, then only it makes sense for you to invest in an app attribution tool, because these tools are expensive. Even the Trackier, which is the base plan for Trackier, will start from at least 25,000-30,000 a month, right? So only go for it if you once you have reached a decent scale. Web analytics, I think you can use Google Analytics, GA4, Adobe Analytics, Mixpanel. There are a lot of other tools as well. But I think in my experience, GA, if used well, GA is sufficient for most of the part. And it is also free. Then fraud detection platforms like AppsFlyer has a suite called Protect 360, which again is a gold standard. Then there are other specialized tools like mFilter Rate, DigiBiopsy. But if you're using affiliates as a channel for app install, then this is a must-have tool for you. Otherwise, you might be paying for a lot of click frauds, like fraudulent clicks. If you're just limiting yourself to Google and Meta, you can, for the time being, skip investing in a fraud detection platform, because Google and Meta are anyways considered to be gold standard. It is not, but that said, it is not like they are foolproof. There can still be some level of fraudulent kicks that you get. So you should always keep a close eye on how the CPC is going, how the CTRs are, how the click to conversion is looking like. But if you're just sticking to Google and Meta, you should keep an eye, but you do not need to invest in a fraud detection platform for now. Then marketing automation, right? So say if you want to send automated WhatsApp, push notifications, emails, automate the entire marketing communication for engagement, as well as, for engagement. Once the user has come to your platform, you can use platforms like CleverTap, MoEngage, WebEngage. All are, I think, more or less equally powerful. But if you are not very heavy on app, right? If you're not a very app-based business, there is a possibility that you do not see an ROI, because then you are only left with email marketing, email automation, or WhatsApp automation. WhatsApp automation, anyways, there are so many tools to do it, right? So you do not need a marketing automation tool per se. And just for email marketing, it does not work in India, right? So India, I've never seen the user behavior of opening emails and all, right? So the click rates, the open rates on emails are relatively lesser in India as compared to markets like US or the Euro. So just for email marketing, you will not get an ROI you will not see an ROI. This is a very important feature if you are advertising on iOS app, right? If your app for iOS and you are advertising it on Google, right? Google, this is still in beta. Google has launched an on-device measurement, which is available after a certain version of their Firebase SDK. What it does is basically Apple has all these guidelines and very strict policies around privacy and all, right? So what it does is it does all the processing of conversions and everything on the device itself, and then only reports aggregated numbers to Meta. Then you'll need WhatsApp automation tools. There are so many tools. In my experience, I've used AI Sensei the most, and I found it to be the best as well. As we discussed, offline conversion events, when leads convert from your CRM, you can configure a post back to Meta and Google. And then lastly, you will need BI tools like Looker Studio, which is free, Tableau, Power BI, Zoho Analytics. I think Looker Studio does a lot of these things for free already. But if you need a more comprehensive solution or better like uh, direct integrations, right, of the self integrations, my recommendation is Zoho Analytics. It is not also very expensive. I think it starts at uh, 1300 or 1400 rupees per month per user. And it's quite powerful. Okay, guys, I think we have done with two parts. Do you have, if you guys have any questions, happy to take them, or we can just move forward. I think Abhinav, you have a question. I read that there is also that instead of 50 conversion, there is another metric of 10 conversion in 3 days to for any product like mine. Yet 10 conversions in 3 days is also, yes, you are right. You have heard correctly. But in terms of the learning that you are able to get, right, out of 50 conversions and the performance that you are able to get is good. It's is a lot better. But that said, if your budget is not, if you do not have sufficient budget to for 50 conversions per week, then that is fine. You can have the you can put the budget, you can run the campaign with the budgets you have, and gradually you can, as you scale, you will be able to give more budget to the campaign, and it will just keep on learning better. Okay, thanks, Sandeep. For early stage brand, if we have a testing budget of 2-3K a week, how do we plan the ads? What's the ideal attribution setting for D2C brands running Meta or Google Ads? We have yeah. So Ganesh, I think it's a very common problem. I think usually the standard is, I think 7 days post click and 1 day post impression. And you will see a lot of over reporting because most of all these platforms you are talking about are self attributing platform. How it works is basically their pixels or the their pixels basically would report all the conversions to them, and then they will attribute out of these conversions how many of them have come from both. And in most of the cases, it would have a customer would have seen your Google ads ad as well as a Meta ad. So both Google and Meta will take the credit. In this case, if you are a since you are a D2C brand, I'm assuming that you would be web heavy. In this case, you can just follow the attribution. You would create an attribution report uh, on GA and just follow the. I think there is a DDA, data-driven attribution model, DDA, on GA. You can just use that, and it will basically, it works on a multi-touch allocation, multi-touch attribution, and you can just treat that as a source of truth. Sonal, I think the next few slides will answer your question. I am just I'll just wait to come to that to those slides. Okay, guys, any more questions? Should we move ahead? Done. Okay, moving ahead now. I'll share my screen again. Yeah, so yeah, I think there was one question on whether we should go Meta first or Google first. F- Pull versus push, right? So both Meta and Google have their strengths and shortcomings, right? So uh, Google is very strong on intent harvesting. Uh, Meta is very strong on intent creation. You can use Google to capture existing demand, Meta to generate new demand based on your positioning. It is not a very accurate statement to make, so don't I don't hold me on this statement, but it's safer to say that Meta is more like a push platform and Google is like a pull platform, right? So the framework I follow, it's a very simple framework that I have a mental model that I always follow, right? The first step is always to check how big is the demand on Google, right? If it is huge, how competitive is my price point? If it is affordable price point, then you should definitely go Google first. If you are a mass premium, you can experiment with Google as well as Meta. If you are a luxury, if your price point is luxury, I think you should stick to Meta first. If your if the demand on Google is average, you can again experiment with Google and Meta and see what is working more for you. But if you have a limited budget, I would recommend experimenting with one platform at a time because you do not want to spread your experimental budgets too thin, right? You need to at least give a decent amount of budgets to every campaign or every channel so that the algorithm is able to identify, and then you also have a statistically significant volume of conversions and other data points to be able to make a sound decision. And if there is, let's say, a lot of D2C brands are doing very niche, like, very new age concepts, like, right? So in a lot of those cases, the demand does not already exist in Google, then, and if that is the case for you, then obviously blindly go Meta first, right? Then I think there was also a question on, how do we scale and lead generation, right? So guys, there are two ways to scale your campaigns, right? One is vertical scaling, where you are scaling your existing campaigns, you're allocating more and more budgets to your existing campaign. The other way is horizontal scaling, where you can, the incremental budget that you have that you want to start with, you are putting them to new channels, all right? So this again is a framework that I follow, a mind map of sorts, right? The first question is, can my current campaigns take more budget? If yes, scale. Just go ahead and increase the budgets of your campaign if they are working well. If no, can I add a new non-overlapping audience or a new keyword that is totally different to my current campaign? If yes, do that. अगर वो भी नहीं कर सकते हो, can I add a new automated campaign like a AI first campaign if that is working for you? No, वो भी नहीं. If yes, do that. No, then it is time to start a new channel, right? So there's a very common problem that I've seen most of the advertisers making is that they spread out too thin, right? They want to start with a small budget of, let's say, 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees per day, but they would allocate this 1,000 rupees to three different places. What happens is that none of the three campaigns or three platforms you are allocating the budgets to are getting enough budget to be able to learn and scale, right? So it's better when you are limited, when you are starting at a limited budget, it's better to just experiment with one channel at a time, whether it should be Meta, whether it should be Google. You can use the framework that I've shared before, like the previous slide. You can use that framework to uh, you know decide whether you should go Meta first and Google first, but always make sure, guys, you are not spreading out too thin, because otherwise I think if your campaign is giving, let's say, 10 conversions at a CPL of 100 rupees and you have a budget of 1,000 rupees, if you give 2,000 rupees budget to that same campaign, I'm sure the CPLs would come down from 100 rupees to 60, 70 rupees, right? So you need to give a decent budget, a respectable budget to every campaign before concluding whether it is working for you or not, right? So why do this? Because it prioritizes signal strength before scale, right? So what it does is basically I'll prioritize giving more signals, more volume to a single campaign rather than going to a different campaign. It also checks where you have exhausted all the audiences in your the current platform that you use. And it also has a mid step of automation before expansion, right? So you are trying a AI based automation as well, If that works for you, beautiful. If that does not work for you, unfortunately, then only you should go to a new channel. Then there are some rule of thumb, right? Do not scale your budgets by more than 20% one week. This per week. This is a rule of thumb generally, but if you're starting very small, that is fine. You can increase the budget from 1,000 to 2,000 rupees. But if you're already at, let's say, a daily spend of 7, 8,000, 10,000 rupees, you should always follow a rule of thumb of not scaling the budgets more than 20% every week. You can scale your current campaign till you have achieved a average frequency of 2 per week. Till the time you have not, your average frequency is less than 2 per week. It is fine. You can go ahead and scale the campaigns as long as obviously your cost per acquisition is consistent. Once you have reached this frequency, it's safer to say that you are kind of maximizing the audience. You are at a risk of exhausting the audience. So then the incremental budget can go to a new audience or a new keyword or a new channel altogether. You can also populate a custom audience based on the number of times they have seen your ad and exclude those audiences from your ad. So Meta has so you would have noticed that for any particular brand, Meta would be showing a lot of ads to you and none of those ads are relevant to you. So what it does is basically you can create an audience of, let's say, anybody who has seen my ad 3 times in the last 7 days, right? And you can exclude that audience. So what it does is basically it helps your campaign reach out to newer and newer audience, and the chances of you getting incremental conversion increases, right? So there's one last slide, guys. I think how can you using these frameworks, how can you scale lead generation? You can have this slide is for lead generation, but I think you can follow this approach as a very generic guideline that you can um, apply for any objectives. Yeah, first is scaling vertically and then scaling horizontally. You should know where you should scale, when you should scale vertically and when you should scale horizontally. If you're a lead generation business, I would recommend maxing out on Google search first, right? Do an extensive keyword research by location, search behavior. Is there a hyper local play, as I said, right? If, for example, people are searching for, let's say you are a dental clinic brand, I would go to that level on search to have different campaigns for every sector. All right, so let's say I have 3 different clinics in Sector 56 of Gurgaon, then Cyber City, and then yeah, I will have 3 different campaigns for these 3 different locations, so that I'm able to track conversions also separately from these locations, and I'm also able to control the spends in these 3 locations, right? Uh, it's very common that once you have reached to a very good scale in Google search, it's very common that you would have 100 plus search campaigns in your one ad account, and that is totally fine. The more granular that you are in Google search, the better it is in terms of control and in terms of performance. Right? When you are trying to scale your budgets, when you are trying to scale your spends on Google search, always scale with budgets first, right? And TCPS later, right? So there are 2 levers of scaling a search campaign, 3 levers in fact. One is you add more keywords. Do that. If you have not already added all the keywords, add all the keywords. If you have already added all the keywords, you can, and your budget is, let's say, 1,000, you can scale to 2,000, right? If you have already maximized your campaigns as well, right? Your budgets as well, then you can consider increasing TCPS, because when you increase TCPS, your cost per click and your cost per conversion CPL, cost per lead, also increases, because you are giving a signal that for every click, for every ad impression, I am willing to pay more, right? So your bids become more aggressive, and hence your CPLs will also increase. Right? Campaign progression. I think there was a question, Sonal. I think it was your question, if I remember correctly, that what should be the right mix in terms of exact phrase and broad. So if I were you, if depends on the budget you are starting with, if you're starting with limited budget, I would always say maximize on Google search, that too on exact match keywords, right? Expand by geography to scale, expand, make campaigns for different campaigns for different cities, different campaign for different neighborhoods, micro markets, sectors, do everything, right? Once you have reached a search impression share of, let's say, 40%, 35, 40%, then you can start a phrase match campaign with only, but with your key, with the keyword that have performed the best in the exact match keyword campaign, right? So just take top 10 keywords from exact match campaign, use them as a broad match, phrase match keyword. Again, once you can start the phrase match campaign, best keywords. Once you are nearing a 40% impression share again, after expanding geographies and everything, then you can basically maybe identify just one or two best keywords that are the most relevant for your business and start a broad match campaign, right? If you are have not maximized exact match, do not start with a phrase match, do not start with a broad match. Always follow this progression: exact 40% impression share, phrase 40% impression share, broad with just one, two keywords. All right. Then talking about, let's say you have maximized search, right? What you still want more leads, right? Then it is time to scale your campaigns horizontally. For lead generation, I would not recommend demand gen on Performance Max before doing lead generation on Meta, right? So start with Google search, then lead generation on Meta. If you still have leftover budgets, if you still want to scale more, then you can consider PMax, demand gen, and all those things, right? Scaling on Meta. So Meta, there are uh, four ways to generate lead, right? One is a lead form, which basically once a user clicks on your ad, it opens a native lead form powered by Meta, and it captures those leads for you. You can download those leads from your Meta Ads dashboard, right? Second is once a user clicks on your ad, you take them to a landing page, which is designed by you on your website, and there is a lead form there. The third indirect way of generating a lead is where you are, for example, a travel brand. What they can do is, let's say if I am selling holiday packages to Thailand, I will start a Meta campaign on purchase, right? And most of these and all the users who are dropping off between the funnel, I'll start capturing leads for them, right? So what it does is basically all these users who are clicking on your ad because you are running a purchase event, right? So all these users have a intent to purchase, then only they are clicking on the ad, right? So if you call them, the quality of the leads and the conversion from those calls will be much better, right? In terms of quality, I think landing page and top and mid funnel purchase event work the best, right? The easier lead generation on Meta, it's very simple. The thumb rule is the easier it is for user to drop a lead, the poorer the quality of that lead will be. Very simple, right? So uh, you could start with landing pages, top mid funnel purchases. Audience targeting may always create a custom audience. If you're using lead generation on Meta, do not go with AI-based recommendations because the lead quality will be very poor. Uh, Always turn off audience expansion and optimize location. These are two AI recommendations that Meta would recommend. Always keep them turned off. Lookalike in general works the best, followed by custom audience targeting. To reduce the junk leads, you can all, like we have discussed this, you can, narrow your audiences based on affluent signals. Like for example, people in India who are, let's say I am again, I am a travel brand, right? So what I'll do is basically I'll create an audience where of based on interest, let's say travel as an interest, I've selected that. Then I'll narrow that audience by, let's say, people in India who prefer high value goods, people in India who are frequent international travelers, people in India who are frequent travelers, right? So this will basically, reduce the size of my audience, but make sure that the quality of the lead is relatively better. Right. So the key differences, guys, Meta versus Google search. Google search, I think fragmentation works better on Google, consolidation works on Meta, consolidation works better on Google search, fragmentation works better. Rule of thumb, scale budgets by not more than 20% weekly. You can keep on scaling a budget till the time you have achieved an average frequency of 2 per week. Thank you, guys. That was all. Thank you for your time. Happy to take any more questions that you guys have.
Nitin, hi, Himanshu this side.
Hi, Vanshu.
One question I have. So, how do you decide? So, actually, two questions. One is like in Meta campaign, how do you decide what is the optimum budget for a campaign? You mentioned, right? If you increase budget from 1,000 to 2,000, the CPL would go down. So, how do you decide what is the right budget? And second question is, among all the Meta platforms, how do you decide which platform to run ad on, whether only run on Instagram or run on Facebook as well? How do you make that decision?
Got it. So I think, Himanshu, the first answer to the first question is simple rule of thumb is that is my budget enough for 50 conversions in 7 days? Right? Let's say if I have a cost per lead of or cost per conversion of 1,000 rupees, then the optimum budget is let's say 50,000 rupees in a week, which is 7-8,000 rupees in a day. Right? So a daily budget of you can back calculate your daily budget, but this is the bare minimum. I think this is not the bare minimum you should spend, obviously, because you will need to build some confidence also. But the bare minimum optimum budget is enough, should be enough for 50 conversions in 7 days. Right? The moment you make any changes to the campaign, the learning will reset, right? It will again go back to, let's say you've started a new campaign. In 10 days, it has reached 50 conversions. The learning is completed. Now you've made some changes to the audience, you've made some changes to the location, some of the creatives. The timer might reset again and it will start again from 0 to 50, right? So if you have a budget enough for 50 conversions in 7 days, it will make sure that every time you are making a change in the campaign, within a week, the conversion, the learning cycle gets completed. One is that. I think, sorry, Himanshu, the second question was
But so
placement, right? Placement.
one follow-up question on this thing is like for a new business where you don't have an idea, ki, okay, what would be the right ideal cost per lead? Um, how do you make this decision? Because then in 2-3 days time, whatever the cost you are getting, that would fluctuate, right? So and you'll have to do changes, and as you mentioned that the campaign would again go in the learning phase, so that problem is there. So that's a follow-up question. And the other question that I was asking is ki between Instagram and Facebook, how do you decide where to run ad and where not to run?
Got it. So, to answer your follow-up question, Himanshu, I think honestly, it is a business call, right? So, because it's just it's a clean slate, right? So there is no logical way of deciding the budget, and I think that is the reason you are asking this question as well. But I think you can start with a small budget of 500,000 rupees, which will not hurt your business a lot, right? And then from there you can start seeing, once you start getting some data, some leads, conversion, you understand those things, you start getting a sense of what your cost per lead or cost per conversion is. Basis that you can just keep on learning and making data back decision. But to start with a rule, you can follow a rule of thumb of, let's say, you can start, if possible, you can start with a daily budget of a rule of thumb you can follow is 1,000 rupees per ad set per day, right? If you are willing to, if your budget, if you want to start with a smaller budget, you can follow a rule of thumb of 500 rupees per day. But there is no like logical answer to this question. It is totally a business call.
Understood.
And secondly, I think when it comes to placement, yeah, so whenever I start, the only uh, AI feature that I use most of the time is automated placements. So I let the algorithm. So what the approach I follow is there are two ways of reaching the right audience, right? One is that you have defined your ICPs to be very sharp, right? So now does not matter where your audience goes, as long as they are part of your ICP, you want to show your ads, right? In that case, you can show your ads on Facebook as well as Meta. As a rule of thumb, I always keep audience network excluded because that inventory is huge, immense. It will just suck all the budget and it also does not perform. So, rule of thumb, if my ICP is very sharp, I would not worry about the placement as long as I'm reaching out to the right audience at any placement, does not matter to me. Second, if you still think, I think it again it should come from consumer insights, whether your consumers are spend more time on Facebook, if they are at all on Facebook or they are like more Insta heavy. Uh, Based on these consumer insight, you could do some surveys, you can call some customers, you would have a decent understanding of your, consumers as well already, right? So based on that, you can take a sound decision whether if you only want to go for, with one channel, whether it should be Facebook or Meta, that could come from business insights, consumer insights.
Okay, thank you.
Guys, any more questions? I think there are some questions in the chat, but I think I've answered most of them already through the slides. If you think your question is not answered yet, feel free to unmute yourself or feel free
Yeah,
to,
just one question, Nitin.
yeah. Yeah, Raghav.
Yeah, Raghav here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raghav here. I think a similar question was asked earlier. If you're making a vertical specific B2B e-commerce platform, what should be your sort of strategy at the start of your journey?
Yeah, so again, are your customers searching for your product on Google? Right, simple framework. If they are searching for Google, it's a no-brainer that you start with Google because that is where the intent is, right? If अगर वहाँ पे search नहीं आ रहा है or if there are searches but you are not getting conversions, then you could stick to experiment with Meta. But to begin with, I think the go-to platform in this case, if B2B, the consumers, the businesses you are serving are already searching for your service on Google, you should go for Google. What typically happens is that in a lot of B2B cases, I think there are not enough searches on Google, right? So in that case, what you can do and I think one thing I've also noticed that in a lot of cases, the TAM is very relatively less, right? In B2B, the TAM is not as huge as a B2C uh, business. So in this case, what you can also do is you can define your audiences on Meta and Google and just do a very active, very aggressive awareness campaign about your product and service to them because you know that this is the right audience and they have a genuine problem that you are solving, right? You can just go out and aggressively use all types of push-based marketing to make sure that your message, your name of your brand reaches to the right audience, and they will automatically come back to you with responses. If there is specific like business specific cases, we can also connect directly, matlab separately after this and maybe discuss this at length. If I have not answered your
Okay.
question already.
Yeah. Thank you, Nitin, and wonderful session.
Thank you guys. Hope you liked it. Guys, more questions? Okay, guys. I think no more questions. Hope you liked the session. I'll just post a poll on the WhatsApp group. Just respond, rate the session if you like it. Thank you. Okay, bye. Thank you. Enjoy your Sundays.